Welcome to Adventures in Glass with Doug. That's me. I put together videos that will show you how to take thrifted glass that you come across. Either you go to a thrift shop or you found it or someone has given it to you and you want to do something clever with it. Some of these that we find in thrift shops have been chipped or cracked, or they're not quite ready to be used for their intended purpose, like some drinking glasses or some fruit bowls or compotes or that sort of thing. But you can take them with the use of a glue that I use, which basically is 100% silicone, and create some really cool stuff. So if you're new to the channel, look at this video, check out some of the others. I've really got some great ideas for you. Today, let me show you some of the pieces I'm going to work with, and we'll see what we can come up with. I will point out that I use a turntable a lot. I believe I got this one years ago at IKEA. I happened to be in my thrift shop and found an identical one that I can put to use. I don't know that I necessarily need two at the same time, but you never know. So I picked that up. But a turntable, if you can find it, will definitely help you with some of these projects. So what do we have to work with today? One of the pieces that I have, and all of these need to be cleaned up, is this vase that's been banged up a bit. We've talked about, and people ask questions about, how can I tell if this is a true colored glass that has been created as a colored glass, or one that was really clear to begin with and it had some kind of a tinting or film or paint applied to it. And for me, the easiest way is to first of all take a look at the base, look through it and see what the base looks like. Generally the base is not colored if it is a tinted or painted one. In this case, pretty easy to tell because there had been a sticker down there, either a price tag or an ID label, that when peeled off left some clear spots because it peeled off the film. This also has been, and you can see in some of your glass pieces when you look at them, it's been banged around, scratched, and probably the reason it was taken to the thrift shop because it wasn't attractive as it was. It was blemished. Now I did take some of my red alcohol ink just to see if I could cover up some of those spots. And of course you can see the brush marks and all. I don't know if I'm going to play around with that today or not. I might add some different red and gold or whatever to that just to make it interesting, or I could leave it alone. It definitely needs to be cleaned up. Things up in my studio here have gotten a little dusty. I also picked up just today one of these mosaic glass vases. These really are cool. Generally they're made in India, sometimes China, and they can really have some interesting colors and they'll reflect the light differently. They will have a band generally around the top or sometimes the middle that is really some kind of either a cloth or fabric of some sort that has been, it has different beads applied to it, and it's put on almost like a tape. So you have to be aware of that. Sometimes they start to separate out, but I find them really very interesting. So this one we're going to clean up, but I don't know if I'm going to use that today. I don't think it fits with what we're doing. So it just teased you into a possible future project. I'm going to take, believe I'm going to take this piece, add a plate to it. Not sure which way we'll do the plate. I have this bowl vase, if you will, which I don't know if it's glass or ceramic, and it's not see-through. Generally I like to have glass objects that you can see through, but this was just too tempting to get. So what I'm going to have to do when I clean this one up, it has some rubber pads on the bottom, little foam pads, obviously, so it wouldn't have damaged your furniture. I'm going to have to take those off so they're not going to interfere. Clean it up. Probably is a tinted glass with foil that has been applied to it. So I was thinking that could go next. And then I've got an assortment of different candle holders. This one I think will work well, and I believe we'll put that on top. And from a previous project that I was going to do, I had taken my red and gold alcohol inks on a marble, ended up not using it, so that may be our topper. So let me clean these up, and we'll get started with assembling this piece, which is very reminiscent of one or two others I've done. I did one called Red Queen that looks a lot like this. You might want to look back in the videos to check that one out. And I've done some other tabletop ones out of reds. Check those out. I'll be back. I wanted to take a minute to share this piece with you. If you have not seen my video on Carnival Glass, and I notice it doesn't have that many views, so I'm not sure whether people were confused about what it was about. But this is a piece that I created in that video called Carnival Glass, because I was talking about this base piece, which is a style of glass making, glass blowing, and tinting that was done in the 30s and 40s on up into the 50s, called Carnival Glass. So that lesson shows you how I built this one. Excuse me. And I really think it's kind of a neat piece. I'm just surprised that it didn't get much play yet. And I think it's because people were confused with the title of Carnival Glass. So that was a discussion of this type of glass, and it was the construction of this, which I think looks like it belongs in a palm reader's place, or if we're going to sit down for a seance or something. That's kind of what it begins to remind me of. Anyway, check that video out. I'll put a link at the end. Okay, we're back. I've cleaned these up. One caution is that because this is a tinted base, I have to be careful that this tinting is in fact on there solid. If it's flaking off, chances are that what might happen is the silicone will stay attached to, say, this plate, and it'll stay attached to the paint film, if you will, but it might peel that off of the glass. So be aware of that. If your base is kind of peeling off, I would take a razor blade and just kind of clean off the edge so you have glass to glass contact with your silicone. Okay, as I mentioned, I use 100% silicone. There are different labels. Different people have told me, excuse me, have told me that the label does make a difference. I think it's really in terms of the drying time and the final flexibility of the silicone. I haven't noticed any problems with it in terms of staying put and lasting for a couple of years with some of these pieces that have even been outside. So I haven't really had a problem with it that way. We're going to do our plate on top. I have to kind of make sure I know my surface. And then we just take a bead of silicone around. It's helpful to have a tube that actually has some silicone in it. So we're going to take our silicone and put a layer of that on the matching surface. I mentioned my turntables. One of the ways that the turntables help is that I can, when I have it on the center of the turntable, I can kind of spin and see if it looks like I'm centered up or not. Okay, that piece is on there good. I have two choices with this piece. I took the foam padding off of the bottom, but I can either go down with the bottom of it or take the open rim and put that down. I think I'm going to put the open rim down. Probably should just let that dry because my next step is to get this to stay on without slipping off. And I'm not sure I want to do that when this is all still loose. So I'm going to let that dry, but my next two steps really will be to put this piece on. And I'm probably going to tape that on the top just for stability. But what I can do is I can put my marble on. And as I said, I fancied that up with some of my alcohol ink. So we're going to let that dry for a couple hours, and then I can come back and add this piece to the top. We'll be back. Well, we're back, and we're going to let this piece continue to dry. I know you're dying to see what I can do with this piece, but I haven't figured that one out yet. So that's just going to be off to the side. But I did figure out how to use this particular piece. Let me just compare this to the tinted piece we have there. This is truly red glass. This was colored before it was blown. And you can tell when you, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but you look in the base, it's solid red. Everything about it is red. It has been blown as red glass. The tinted ones are not. They're clear and they've had a coating of paint or film put on them. So what are we going to do with this? This is kind of an interesting piece. I thought I could use it with this mosaic glass, but as you can see, it really feels a little heavy for that piece. So we'll set that aside. And I've tried it with other pieces. I thought maybe it would work with this. Again, it seemed a little heavy. So I thought, wait a minute, this could be a base all by itself. So we've got, I have sort of a rose-colored dish here. And I think I'm going to put on top of that, I have actually I have several of these candle holders, so I thought, okay, that could work there. And then again, you're stuck with, what do you do on the top? Now I have this mosaic glass votive, which I could put on there. I'm not, and I could live with that, but I'm not sure I like that, the way that ends so solidly. But I picked this up recently. I guess it's meant to be a little candy dish. I thought, okay, that could work. It kind of goes with it, but again, it's just clear glass. However, I do have some glass beads that maybe what I'll do is put an assortment of those. I don't know how many I'm going to need, but I can put an assortment of those in. I mean, I could fill it if I wanted, because I'm going to have to seal that. But I thought, okay, that could work. It's nothing spectacular, but it has a lot of interest to it, and it's kind of bottom heavy here, which is good. So I think we're going to take some time to put that together while that dries. And let's see how quickly this works. Okay, I recommend the silicone as our adhesive. And if you're not sure where to get it, I've got a link in the description below the video. So check that out. You can buy these, happen to come from Amazon, but you can buy them at most hardware stores. They do come in different labels, but get the 100% silicone. So there we have another quickie. Once you have your pieces picked out, you figured out your orientation, the sequence, they're all cleaned up, you can usually go pretty fast. But it's not that speed is the most important part of it. You want to make sure everything is solid so that you're not moving parts that haven't dried. That's happened to me before. All right, we're going to go back to that one in a bit. And we've done 2 red pieces that are pretty cool. Final step is to take this candle holder, and put it on top, and making sure that it's as vertical as we can get it. And because it's sliding around a little bit, I've got some tape that I'm going to use to help hold it. The marble, I think, is in good shape. And there we have 2 pieces. I'll let them dry, and maybe if I can get a good shot out in the sunshine, I'll do that later. But at least thank you very much for being part of this. I hope you get some ideas. I hope it's helpful. Thank you for the comments. I try to respond. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and give me a like if you like it. Thank you.